Hi, hello everybody, I'm Justin, this is Koopa, and welcome to Koopa's Corner. Today we're going to talk about WWE's premium live event, WrestlePalooza. WrestlePalooza is this upcoming Saturday. That's going to be September the 20th, and it's going to be live on ESPN. It's WWE's first premium live event on ESPN, switching from Peacock. Me personally, as big of a fan as I am of the WWE, I'm not going to be watching. $30 a month extra is a little steep for me. That's an extra $360 a year that I don't have to spend on wrestling, as much as I love it. But I'm going to be watching highlights on YouTube. I'm going to be reading along with recaps online. And today, we're going to go over the match card. We're going to make our preview and predictions video. So yeah, we'll preview the match card. We'll make our predictions for the winners. And they are advertising 5 matches on the card right now for WrestlePalooza. And let's start off with John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. Now this match is really interesting. In certain regards, right? It's all not that interesting in others, right? It's a match that's been done. It's been done to death. It's been Cena's been ragdolled and dominated by Lesnar over the years, and it's just not a match I'm personally excited to watch if I was watching. And I think a lot of that just has to do with the amount of times these two guys have faced each other over the years. The fact that there's very little to no story here, aside from Lesnar just showing up. And you couple that with the fact that, you know, Lesnar being openly named in a certain lawsuit, you know, and participating in, you know, human trafficking and kind of being an all-around shitty person. It's just not exciting to see that the WWE is welcoming that back with open arms. And it's also a little bit disheartening to see how many members of the WWE universe don't really care, right? Hogan's last appearance before he died, he got booed out of the building for being a racist. But Lesnar shows back up, and it's no big deal. Nobody gives a shit, right? It feels a little off. It feels like a little picking and choosing where your morals lie. I'm not excited that Lesnar's back. Lesnar's had his time. He's been there. He's done that. He was entertaining, but I just don't think it's worth him being on our screens. That being said, this match could very easily be another dominant Lesnar victory, especially if he's the round who's sticking around past December, right? It makes more sense, but I think there's also something to be said about Cena winning. Sending the fans home happy with that, particularly if there is a much more negative reaction to Lesnar in Indianapolis than there has been in the past few cities he's appeared. So it's going to just kind of depend. They could do something wild, like Cena could absolutely ragdoll Lesnar and just get a very dominant squash victory, but that's very, very unlikely. They're not going to want to make Lesnar look weak, and like I said, he's probably going to be sticking around at this point for a little bit longer than Cena, so I don't know. I'm going to say Lesnar wins. I don't like saying that, but it is what it is. Next up, it's the Usos versus Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed of The Vision. So this story has been building for a little while because, you know, they were targeting Roman, and then they were targeting Jay, and they were targeting LA Knight. You know, this has just been kind of ongoing for a while. You know, all at Seth's, you know, beck and call. They were targeting CM Punk. There was that big fatal 4-way match. LA Knight and Jey Uso have been butting heads. You know, just this past Monday, LA Knight asked Jimmy Uso to be his tag team partner. And I think the main thing to look out for here is that sort of Jay has been a little bit more demanding. Jay has been a little bit more do as I say. And he's kind of leaning towards being a heel, sort of slow building to that. And, whether he calls himself the new tribal chief or whatever, but it's probably going to lead to a match / a mini feud with Roman whenever Roman comes back. And from there, they'll probably make up and the OG bloodline will be reunited once more. But in order for that to happen, he needs to go full heel. He needs to turn on Jimmy here. So I think it's pretty obvious that this one is going to be a nice, easy victory for Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. They'll probably pin Jimmy, and then post-match, Jay is going to, super kick him, spear him, Usos splash him, something like that. He's going to get a beatdown. There's always the possibility that Jay turns on Jimmy before the match is over, and he walks out and he leaves Jimmy alone 2-on-1. Or he, hits the super kick and then Braun Breaker just scoops up for the pin, something like that. But I think that they, in order to, sort of hide it a little bit more, try to not telegraph it as much, it'll probably be post-match, That's what I think is most likely anyway. But it's not really much going on there. Stephanie Vaquer versus Io Sky is up next. They're going to be competing for the vacant WWE Women's World Championship, right? Naomi vacated the title after she was pregnant, for obvious reasons. And Stephanie Vaquer was supposed to face Naomi at Clash in Paris after winning a Battle Royal at Evolution. And obviously that match didn't happen. Adam Pearce told Stephanie, "You'll still get a shot. We just have to find an opponent for you." And ultimately, it ended up being Io Sky, the woman that Naomi took the championship from in the first place. Io Sky has a much better pedigree here, a much better lineage, history with the championship, or with championships in general. Stephanie Vaquer is much newer to the scene. But Io has also been dealing with a little bit of a side story with Rhea and a little bit of a side story with Asuka and Kairi. And I think it's very likely that Asuka inadvertently costs Io Sky the championship, right? She's going to come out and interfere after Io tells her not to. She's going to, offer Io, let me be in your corner and help you out the same way she's done a few times. Io's going to say, no, I need to do this on my own. Asuka will come out anyway at some point to distract Io, and Stephanie will get the victory. I think we're going to see Stephanie Vaquer win her first championship on the main roster in WWE. I think Stephanie Vaquer is a superstar with a huge, huge upside. She's incredibly popular. She's incredibly good looking. She's got the Devil's Kiss, which just the fans go crazy for. And there's just so much upside. I think she's going to be a really big star. She's got so much potential. I think that it happening at WrestlePalooza is a bit of a choice. I mean, their hands are kind of tied given the situation that they're in. And they're trying to make this a brand. Like, this feels like they want it to be a big brand and not, like a random Clash in Paris, Clash at the Castle, whatever type branding. They want this to be bigger. So, brand new champion's a great way to do it. Where she goes from there, who knows? She doesn't really have an obvious direction after that, but put the title on her and see what happens. All right, there's another championship match, and that's going to be Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. I am so excited that Drew is finally getting a championship opportunity. Drew should be in the title picture much more frequently. He was, in my opinion, one of the best. I think he's really underrated. I think everything he does is just absolutely phenomenal. So I'm a big, big Drew McIntyre fan. I love to see him in the title picture. I would love to see him take that title from Cody. I don't think it's going to happen, right? They were super, super protective of Cody, and they took the title off of him for really that terrible Cena heel turn, which probably shouldn't have happened. Cody won it back at SummerSlam. It hasn't been that long. After holding the title for so long the first time, I can't imagine they'll just hot potato it right off of him. after giving it back to him now, because at that point they could have just done Cena versus McIntyre and had McIntyre be the one to take it from him. They obviously put it back on Cody for a reason. Now, I think that there's been some obvious story going on with Randy Orton, and I think it's pretty likely that we see Orton interfere in this match in some way. I would love if he cost Cody the title and started that feud, but that's probably going to come in a couple of months after he's done with Drew. And that way they can build to that for Mania. Right? It's a big match, Orton and Cody. They have a lot of history, going all the way back to Legacy and everything. And so I think you save that for a bigger event. As much as I would love that to get kickstarted here, and I would love to see a surprise Drew McIntyre championship reign, just doesn't feel like the moment. So I think Cody Rhodes retains, and hopefully Drew is not completely out of the title picture. But I think Drew's going to feud with Orton a little bit more for the time being. Then there's one final match that's being advertised, right? This is the big one. This is the one everyone's waiting for. This is the reason everyone's going to tune into ESPN. This is, the ESPN thing is probably why this is happening in the first place. But AJ Lee has made her return after 10 long years away from the WWE. She came out to fight for her husband's honor when Becky Lynch was slapping him all in the face, and Becky Lynch was trying to stand in between him and Seth Rollins, and AJ Lee has returned. And so now there's this big mixed tag team match. It's CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. Because it's a mixed tag match, Seth Rollins' World Heavyweight Championship is not on the line. And because it's AJ Lee's first match back after 10 long years, I think that this is one of those matches where it might be the most obvious outcome of the night. It might be the most obvious outcome of a match that we've had in a very, very long time. But this match is not about the destination. This is about the journey. This is, let's sit back, let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy the story that they tell throughout the match. Let's enjoy seeing AJ Lee back in the ring. And I think obviously AJ Lee gets the big W for her team here. And that is WrestlePalooza. Again, ESPN, this upcoming Saturday. Now, let me know, guys, in the comments how you feel about this jump to ESPN. Let me know how you feel. Are you excited? Do you have ESPN anyway? Do you use it for other content? Are you watching it for other sports? Or are you getting it just because of the WWE? Are you keeping your Peacock account, or are you getting rid of Peacock now that WWE is not on there? And the fact that it's, a lot more money. It's double per month. $30 a month. It's not too far off from the old pay-per-views at $50 a month, right? It's closer than the WWE Network at $9.99 a month anyway, or about the same distance, but the wrong direction. There's just been a lot going on with the WWE and trying to nickel and dime us all to death, and this is clearly because of TKO, because the WWE that we've known for decades has not done this to us. The WWE thrives on being family-friendly content. It thrives on being generational content. It thrives on fathers taking their sons, on mothers taking their daughters, and on people like me who look back and say, man, when I was a kid, I used to love this superstar. I used to love that superstar. I used to love this event. I've been watching the WWE for over how many ever years, man. Some of my favorite memories as a kid are this or that or this. And that's why they're still in business today. It's how they reach the fans. It's how they touch the fans. And when you make it inaccessible for people, as children, as families, then they don't grow up with that nostalgia, with that attachment to it. And this probably is not great for them in the long term. even though they're probably going to milk it and do really well in the short term, financially speaking. But it's tough. It's tough to be a fan and to watch them price you out of going to live events, to watch them price you out of watching their content on TV, of having to settle for YouTube highlights, for online recaps. It's really just too bad, and hopefully this doesn't last too long. Hopefully we see something happen, them come to their senses in some way, and them try to make this a little bit more accessible for the everyday person, especially in these trying times, where everything's a little bit too pricey and the economy's a little bit rough and no one's making quite enough money. It's unfortunate. That being said, if you are one of those people who did dish out $30 for ESPN this month, I hope you enjoy the show. It's on paper, it's going to be a pretty fun show. Some big name matches. Maybe the start of a big brand, a WrestleMania, a Royal Rumble, a SummerSlam-esque brand in WrestlePalooza. And only time will tell, but if it is, you can look back to this year and be like, damn, that was a good show, right? If they do it well. Either way, guys, hey, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.